Hello and welcome to the Monday edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Kimberley Hoeppner and today is March 5th, 2018. Almost towards the end of winter, so in just a moment we're going to be talking about some more snow for your aviation, marine, and public forecasts. Remember, you can always get our information by dialing 1-800-472-0391 or going to the internet and typing in weather.gov/Alaska. Always, if you have any questions about the show, feel free to direct it to Dave Snider, our TV lead at NOAA.gov. Now let's start with the hot topics of the day, or the cold topics. We're going to look at this area here highlighted in yellow. These are winter weather advisories for snow. We're expecting between 1 to 3 inches across the lower Yukon and also the lower and middle Koyukuk valleys there. We're going to be seeing this snow spreading inland tonight around 6 p.m. and that's going to be running for 24 hours. Localized snowfall is expected to reach up to 5 to 6 inches for these areas with localized visibilities at times, and that's going to make travel difficult. Now let me step to the other side of the screen so we can take a look down here over at Yakutat. We have a watch out for snow, and this is going to be starting for your Tuesday night, and that's heading into the day on Wednesday. We're expecting increased snow, mounts between 4 to 8 inches, and that's going to be, once again, not tonight, but starting Tuesday night and heading into Wednesday. Let's take a look at the weather systems that are bringing the snow to the area this afternoon. We're going to look at the western Bering first. We have a low pressure system that's fairly well organized. You can see this plume of moisture. It's going to be shooting out here towards the east quite quickly, might add. Very cold air masses tucked in behind on the west side of this system, with this plume just stretching to the Kuskokwim Delta this afternoon. Now, ahead of the system, we did see some breaks in the clouds across the Alaska Peninsula and even across the southern areas of the Kenai. Across the areas inland, we are seeing mainly low to mid-level clouds with upper-level disturbances bringing snow across the area. Now, across the eastern areas of the state, they were as well in a break of clouds here, so clearing skies through the afternoon with low pressure bring fairly moist air mass up into the central areas of the Gulf this afternoon. Putting this into motion, you can see that plume of moisture is heading towards the east. So the center of the low pressure system, mainly in the northern area of the Gulf. So these are the two pressure systems that we're going to be watching for the next few days. However, at the surface, we do have a weak low pressure system that pushed a trough in earlier, and that's what's creating the snow across the central areas of the state. So we're seeing some light snow across the central and western areas of the state this afternoon ahead of the next more organized system. And we also have a weak low pressure system associated with this disturbance across the Gulf of Alaska. Now this system is bringing some light snow mainly along the mountain terrain of south central and some light rain showers across the Gulf waters. Now, as we head into the overnight hours, expect the snow intensity to be the greatest across the western areas of the state. Now, we're going to see some lighter snow across central areas. However, that's only going to be ranging between 1 to 2 inches. Another area that can expect snow during the overnight hours is the Copper River. As this upper wave passes towards the east, we're going to see 1 to 2 inches of snowfall all the way over towards Yakutat. Low pressure will linger across the eastern Gulf there. However, no precipitation is expected in the southeast during the overnight hours. We will see some precipitation moving along the southern and central areas of the Bering. Mixed precipitation along the central areas changing over to rain across the western to eastern Aleutians. Some patchy fog in there along with the weather. Also look out for patchy fog across the Bristol Bay locations and along the Cook Inlet, mainly the western areas of the Kenai will see this patchy fog during the overnight hours, but it could creep up towards Anchorage once again. Now, across the western areas of the state, there's kind of a warmer air mass that's moving to the north. However, it's still going to be cold enough for all snow. So I wanted to make that note on that warm front that's pushing across. But by the time we head into Tuesday, the cold air mass is going to quickly surge into the southwest locations, and that's going to reinforce the snow across the western areas of the state for your Tuesday. So increasing snow chances for the Kenai areas down towards Kodiak. And then the precipitation across the Bering is mainly going to be rain with mixed precipitation across the eastern Alaska Peninsula and mainly north of the Pribilof Islands. Now we should see a drier trend for your Tuesday across the Aleutian chain as that front pushes inland. And then we'll see increasing chances across the eastern areas of the state as well. Mix of rain and precip is not going to be getting into the southern channels until late day, as well as for Yakutat. We're expecting the trough along the eastern areas of the Gulf to be starting to deepen just slightly, and that's going to help set off these heavier snow showers for the Yakutat area as we head into the later part of Tuesday. So that's going to be the system to watch across the southeast, is the trough deepening, so a little bit better organized as we head into your Wednesday, and we're expecting that to give enough lift to bring some snow shower activity across much of the southeast. Now let's take a look at South Central. Kenai will be seeing a break on Wednesday from the snow that comes through on Tuesday, and then we'll see Copper River staying in that snow line back towards the Alaska Range. And another quick wave traveling around the low pressure system in the Bering is going to send yet another cold front through the area. Notice with this system that we do see all snow on the backside of this low pressure system and a smaller area of rain confined to the eastern, perhaps central Aleutian area, and mixed precip mainly along Bristol Bay back towards the southern Bering. So this colder air mass is going to be the trend through the end of the week. Colder temperatures on their way. And then with the trough axis staying out across the western areas of the state, look for snow amounts to be heaviest associated with this low pressure system. So across the eastern and northern areas of the state, they're going to be on the drier side as we head into the middle of the work week. Taking a look at your temperatures for Tuesday morning, you'll notice we'll have some very cold temperatures in the single digits along the eastern border here, and then to the north, single digits as well, with the warmest temperatures across the western areas of the state for much of the mainland, but we'll also see temperatures in the 20s for the southeast for Tuesday morning. Across the Bering, expect temperatures to be in the mid to upper 30s. Now let's take a look at your temperatures as we head into Tuesday afternoon. There will be some warming trends, especially across the southwest there. Temperatures expected to reach into the mid-30s. By that time, they should be seeing a break in the precipitation, so no precipitation issues expected there. And we'll stay below freezing for much of the southern areas and central areas of the state, slightly warmer there around the coast in the mid-30s. As well as across the Aleutian chain, temperatures as warm as 40 to 45 as you head towards the west there. Staying cold across the northern tier of the state, expected this time of the year in the teens to upper teens, with 20s across much of the eastern areas of the state, and temperatures for the southeast tomorrow will be into the mid-30s. Now, as we head into Wednesday morning, not much change here for the southeast. Temperatures dropping into the mid-20 range. Single digits once again across the eastern and northern areas of the state, with the 20s across the western areas of the state. Expect cold temperatures as well for the south central locations and the Alaska Peninsula through the Aleutian chain. We'll see temperatures mainly in the 30s. Note that we do get lower 30s across the western areas of the Aleutians as we head into Wednesday morning, not cooling up much towards the western Aleutians. A good indication that we're going to see that colder air mass coming in, and we'll stay at a moderate mid-30s for the southwest, with the colder temperatures to the north and east across the state in the teens and 20s. Coastal areas will be a little bit warmer in the low to mid-30s.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Now let's take a look at your aviation maps, starting with Tuesday morning. You can see that there's widespread IFR and MVFR conditions across the state and out across the Bering, including the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian Islands. Off to the east, a little bit better conditions out there with VFR, but we do have MVFR across much of the Gulf waters. Now, as we head into the afternoon on Tuesday, expect overall conditions across the state to be in that IFR to MVFR range, except along the extreme eastern border. And down in the southeast, we'll see some MVFR conditions starting to creep into the northern panhandle there in IFR conditions as well. Now, looking out towards the west and the western Bering, same conditions conditions pretty much prevailing, MVFR to IFR. And into midweek, it's not going to improve much as we see widespread IFR conditions across the state and Bering, and across the Gulf waters expect MVFR to IFR, spreading over towards the southeast with Chilkoot, White Pass, those northern channels there coming down to MVFR for Wednesday morning. And then through the afternoon hours, slightly better conditions overall across the central and eastern areas of the state with MVFR prevailing. However, and then we will see IFR conditions back towards the southeast. Now across the western areas of the state, another front will move across the west coast, bringing IFR conditions again, and a little bit of a break behind that system with VFR conditions across the western areas and some of the central areas of the Bering. Now let's go into your passes in more depth. We'll see Anaktuvik Pass, MVFR with IFR at the southern entrance for Tuesday, as well as Adigan will be MVFR. The south entrance will probably be in the IFR condition as well. Lake Clark and Merrill Pass will both be IFR condition, and then Rainy will be IFR. We'll see Windy go MVFR to IFR late day, and Isabel will go IFR to MVFR in the afternoon. Mentasta will be an MVFR day for you, and the pass over at Tanita will be MVFR going down to IFR. Looking at Portage, starting out a VFR day going down to IFR fairly quickly, and Chilkoot and White Pass will be VFR for most of the day and then going down to MVFR conditions. Looking at your freezing levels for Tuesday morning, here we have the surface draped across the northern and eastern areas of the Bering, and then along the Gulf coastal locations, and then we'll see the height rises from 2,000 to 6,000 feet across the southern Bering and the Aleutian chain, climbing to 8,000 feet just south of the chain. Let's take a look at the icing conditions for your Tuesday. Below 5,000 feet, expect some icing across much of the state, isolated moderate conditions, and then across much of the Bering, and the same for the Gulf on your Tuesday. Now looking at your overall jet stream, we have a very weak polar jet to the north with a 30-knot flow. The main jet stream is just situated along the Aleutian and southwestern Bering there with a 140-knot jet westerly there and troughing over the Gulf of Alaska and to the south of that location. A relatively zonal flow in your 9,000-foot levels with a westerly flow strongest over the Bering between 60 and 70 knots. And then across the state as well, mainly zonal flow, but a little bit of a southwesterly direction there as you head towards the west coast. Low pressure is staying off the northwest coast and out towards the west. Taking a look at your 3,000-foot level winds, we do have that zonal flow, again reflected at 3,000 feet, and basically the flow is 30 to 60 knots. The strongest winds are right down there along the Aleutian chain into the Alaska Peninsula. And then we have a little bit of a turn across the troughing in the Gulf and more of a southerly fetch going up towards the eastern border there. And the strongest winds are going to be primarily near Kodiak Island at 25 knots. Otherwise, it's going to be between 10 and 20 knots out of the south to southwest direction. Now let's take and sum all of this up. Primarily, we're not going to see any turbulent conditions across much of the state and then across the southeast as well. The main focus is going to be out there towards the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula, where we're going to see those very strong unidirectional flow. However, the turbulence in this location is going to be low level below 4,000 feet, and mainly for speeds shear. And this is going to creep up just into the southwest areas of the Kuskokwim Delta. Okay, that's going to sum up your aviation weather, and now we're going to move on to the next portion of your show.
Hello, I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite orbiting 22,000 miles above Earth. I can see a lot of cool stuff from up here, and I take pictures of it with my spiffy camera that has 16 different settings. I have such good eyesight, I can see clouds, snow, smoke, smog, and ash, so I can warn you about dangerous conditions and help you avoid them. When storms are brewing, I watch them closely and help with hurricane, tornado, and flood warnings to help keep you safe. And my lightning mapper tracks lightning strikes way up in the sky, even through dark, dense clouds. I also help with search and rescue missions. I listen for distress signals from emergency beacons and tell search and rescue teams just where to find people who need help. But even when I'm keeping a close eye on Earth, I'm monitoring weather out here in space, too. I watch the sun for big bursts of energy, which send waves of radiation toward Earth that can affect power grids, block communication with planes, cause errors in GPS, and damage satellites. Space weather is also very dangerous for astronauts working outside the International Space Station. I warn them so they can get inside where they'll be safe. So the next time you watch a weather report or check your phone for the forecast, remember, that's me. So look to the sky and wave. I'll be here. Whoa! Things are looking pretty bad down there. But don't worry. I'm going to give weather forecasters a heads up and help you stay safe. I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite, and one of my jobs is to keep an eye on Earth's weather as I orbit above. But I'm 22,000 miles above Earth. How does your local weather forecaster know what I see all the way up here? First, I have to figure out what's going on. I point my special camera at the Earth and take pictures of the clouds I see below. My pictures show where the clouds are, but I also take lots of other notes about the clouds. For example, how high they reach into the atmosphere, how much rain they might cause, and when a severe storm may be forming. But I can't keep all of this information to myself. I have to share it with weather forecasters down on Earth. A big antenna is waiting for my call. Since I'm a satellite, I send my pictures and notes in a computer language of ones and zeros. Luckily, the antenna speaks my language. Computers connected to the antenna organize my notes and combine all of the pictures and cloud information and translate them into weather maps. They send a version of the maps back up to me. I'll hold on to these for later. Another copy of the maps is split into smaller pieces. This helps the maps move faster from one place to another. The map pieces are then sent for processing before being sent back up in the sky to a communication satellite. From there, the maps are picked up by antennas at the National Weather Service forecast offices in each region. There are more than 100 offices. I also take the maps that I received and send them out to companies that specialize in making the maps more colorful and better for viewing on TVs and computers. The colorful maps and the maps from the forecast offices then go to your local weather forecaster. The forecaster combines the information from these maps with lots of other information, like model forecast data and radar data, to make predictions about the upcoming weather in your area. And that's how I help you find out if bad weather is going to ruin your afternoon plans. You're welcome. Soon it will be my time to shine in outer space. I'm the GOES-R satellite. That stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And the R stands for my order in this series of weather satellites. Like my older siblings before me, I'll do a lot for watching weather, but I'm pretty special because I have a lot of new gadgets. I'm originally from Colorado, but my journey to space has a few stops along the way. I'll be shipped in a very special satellite shipping container to Kennedy Space Center. Moving me around is not easy. I'm over 18 feet wide and weigh 6,000 pounds. And then things get really exciting. I get loaded onto an Atlas V541 launch vehicle. A big rocket! Woo! After Atlas and I blast off together, my compartment separates from the launch vehicle and I continue to climb higher and higher. Then I break away completely and unfurl my solar panel and antenna. After that, I have to use my thrusters to get into just the right position, 22,000 miles above the ground and traveling 1.9 miles per second to keep up with Earth's rotation. And then I can officially start my job along with my fellow GOES sisters, where I take advanced pictures for more accurate weather forecasts, map lightning in real time, and improve the monitoring of the sun's activity. It's going to be so awesome! I can't wait!
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
And now we're back with a look at your marines. Let's first take a look at the Cook Inlet. We still have ice just all the way down through the northern Cook Inlet there. And we also, the ice edge across the western areas of this state, we're going to see that pretty much starting to erode as we head into the next few days as we have strong southerly flow along the coastal areas. So no growth expected as we head into the weekend. So let's take a look at the southeast, jump over to the southeast forecast as we head into your Tuesday. Mainly a southerly flow across the area, fairly light winds between 10 and 20 knots, looking at the inner channels between 2 to 3 feet and the outer waters around 4 feet. Now let's take a look at your Wednesday forecast. A little bit stronger flow, change of direction here, but still between 15 to 20 knots. Inner channels are going to see seas around 3 feet, with seas between 5 to 6 feet across those outer waters. Let's take a look at the northern and western Gulf locations, looking at primarily a southerly flow out towards these locations as well. With the Cook Inlet, a little bit more of a northerly flow becoming easterly towards the southern Cook Inlet there at 25 knots. Small craft advisory along the southern tip of the Kenai towards Kodiak. And then we'll see seas across the Prince William Sound at 3 feet. The southern inlet will be between 4 to 6 feet, and across the western Gulf between 3 to 4 feet. For your Wednesday forecast, expect a northerly flow once again across the inlet between 10 to 15 knots, a little bit lighter wind speeds on this day, with the northern and western Gulf between 10 to 15 knots, change of wind direction primarily out of the north to northwesterly direction. Looking at your Alaska Peninsula forecast and around Kodiak Island, stronger winds in this direction out of the southwest. Small craft for the entire area, and seas would be 7 to 13 feet across the Bering, and the Pacific side will be between 7 to 9 feet. Looking at your Wednesday forecast, still mostly small craft across the area, lighter wind speeds towards Kodiak Island, and we'll see primarily a westerly flow with 9 to 14 foot seas across the Bering, and then 6 to 10 feet across the Pacific side. Take a look at your Aleutian chain forecast for Tuesday. Primarily small craft for the eastern Aleutians, and then gales as you head towards the west. Winds will be in the southwesterly direction with seas between 15 to 18 feet across much of the Bering. Slightly lower seas for 10 to 13 feet just south of the eastern Aleutians and central Aleutians. As we head into your Wednesday forecast, west to southwesterly flow encompasses the area once again. Gales out towards Shimia, otherwise small craft, and seas on this day will be between 10 to 20 feet, the highest seas, out towards the western Aleutians. Looking at your west coast, we're going to see a strong southwesterly flow, mainly small craft advisories across the area with seas between 10 to 18 feet in ice-free areas. And then we'll see a strong wind increasing as we head into your Wednesday out of the west direction. So gales for much of the Bering on this day with a little bit change of wind direction there towards the Bering Strait, 15 to 25 knots to the north out of the southeast direction. And seas on this day will range between 12 to 25 feet, highest seas out towards the north parts of the Bering there. And we'll see on your north and west coast, mainly between 10 to 20 knots, change of wind directions, south becoming a little bit more northeasterly, and once again varying towards the Bering Strait out of the southwest. On your Wednesday forecast, strongest wind speeds across the Seward Peninsula there, out of the southeast at 25 knots, otherwise pretty much an east to northeast flow across the area. And then let's take a recap of your forecast. Look for heavier snow across the western areas of the state, 1 to 3 inches expected tonight, with the higher snow amounts for the Koyukuk Valley and the Yukon valleys, the lower Yukon. And then we'll see light snow for the Copper River, 1 to 2 inches for Yakutat even for the overnight hours. Increasing snow chances on Tuesday with those higher amounts there along the west coast. And then late day Tuesday, we'll start seeing increased chances for precipitation for the southeast. Now across the Bering, we're expecting some light rain activity followed by some colder air mass bringing mainly snow showers into Wednesday. Higher amounts of snow again for the western areas of the state with increasing chances for higher snow amounts for Yakutat and the Panhandle locations. So we're going to be seeing some pretty good snow amounts for the southern tier of the state as we head into your Wednesday into Thursday forecast. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.